You wouldn't believe it if I told you that one coin, just one, could be worth almost $1 million. Imagine holding something so rare, so valuable, that it could change your life in an instant. But what if I told you it wasn't just any coin? It's a coin that was minted over 60 years ago, but it's been hiding in plain sight for decades. Today, we're going to explore a coin that could be sitting in your collection right now, worth nearly $1 million. Stay with me, because you won't believe how much this coin is actually worth. This coin is a 1964 Thomas Jefferson nickel, but there's something extraordinary about it. This isn't just any 1964 Jefferson nickel. This one has no mint mark, which makes it incredibly rare. But let's slow down for a second and talk about the significance of this. The 1964 Jefferson nickel was part of a regular release by the U.S. Mint. However, in 1964, there was a special issue of nickels that were supposed to have a mint mark. Most of them were struck at either the Philadelphia Mint, which uses the P mint mark, or the Denver Mint, which uses a D mint mark. But a handful of these coins, for reasons we still don't fully understand, slipped through the cracks with no mint mark at all. Now, you might think, well, maybe it's just a small oversight, no big deal. But here's the thing, this tiny mistake has created one of the most sought-after coins in American numismatics. Just imagine that, something as simple as a mint mark could make or break a coin's value. Now, let's dig deeper into why this particular 1964 Jefferson nickel is worth so much. If you think about the sheer rarity, the story behind this coin becomes even more fascinating. Only a few of these no mint mark nickels were ever produced, and fewer still remain in circulation today. This coin was produced during a time of major changes in the U.S. Mint's processes, making any error, particularly one as subtle as the absence of a mint mark, highly valuable. But there's more to it. This coin isn't just valuable because it's rare. It's also valuable because of the condition it's in. Mint state versions of this coin, the ones that are untouched by wear and tear, are in incredibly high demand among collectors. The combination of rarity and high-quality preservation makes this coin worth nearly $1 million. Imagine this for a moment, a coin that spent decades in circulation, passed from hand to hand, maybe even lost in the dirt for years, then found and recognized for what it truly is, an incredibly rare treasure. So, what makes this coin even more special than its rarity and historical significance? The answer lies in its value. With only a few of these coins remaining in mint condition, they've become a prized possession for serious coin collectors and investors. In fact, this 1964 Thomas Jefferson nickel no mint mark silver coin could be worth as much as $999,000. That's right, a single coin, which may have been tossed into a jar of loose change or hidden in an old drawer, is now $1 million treasure. It's a remarkable reminder of how, sometimes, the most surprising discoveries can change everything. But how can you tell if you found one of these elusive 1964 Jefferson nickels without a mint mark? Well, first things first, check the coin itself. The lack of a mint mark should be easy to spot, especially on the reverse side of the coin. If your 1964 Jefferson nickel is in excellent condition, with little wear or damage, then you might have just discovered one of the rarest coins in circulation. So, the next time you go through your coin collection or dig through a box of old change, take a moment to look closely. You just might find a coin that could change your life forever. If you do, you'll have a piece of American history that's worth far more than its face value. A coin so rare that it's worth almost $1 million. And it's not some ancient artifact, but a modern nickel. Yes, you heard that right. A 1978 Thomas Jefferson nickel, without a mint mark, could be worth up to $995,000. How did a simple nickel become one of the most valuable coins in the world? Stick around to find out, because by the end of this video, you might just be looking through your coin jar a little more carefully. In 1978, the United States minted billions of coins, including millions of nickels. But what most people don't realize is that some of those nickels weren't made quite right. That's right, not all nickels from that year were stamped with a mint mark, which is where the story of this particular coin begins. Mint marks are the small letters found on many coins, telling us where the coin was produced. Most of the 1978 nickels were stamped with the traditional mint mark, identifying them as coming from the Philadelphia or Denver mints. But what if I told you there were some coins that slipped through the cracks and had no mint mark at all? It's a mistake, a flaw, that would later make them extremely rare and highly sought after by collectors. Here's where it gets interesting. The US Mint typically doesn't make mistakes like this, especially with such a common coin as the nickel. But when this coin was released, it went unnoticed by most collectors and coin enthusiasts. For decades, this specific error was overlooked, hidden among countless other nickels, until a few sharp-eyed collectors noticed something strange. Why would a mint forget to stamp a coin with its mint mark? Could it be a mistake, or is there more to the story? Imagine having a nickel that's identical to the ones around it, yet its value is potentially a fortune. Over time, rumors began circulating about a 1978 Thomas Jefferson nickel that seemed to have slipped through the mint system without a mint mark. Coin collectors and numismatists started scouring their collections for this rare version, but it wasn't easy to find. Because of the sheer number of regular 1978 nickels in circulation, it's easy to miss the error. Some say only a handful of these error coins exist. That's why, when one turns up in decent condition, it can fetch a small fortune. The scarcity, combined with the historical intrigue behind this minting mistake, has created a frenzy among collectors. The more we learn about it, the more we realize just how valuable it really is. Now, let's talk about the coin itself. The 1978 Thomas Jefferson nickel no mint mark was part of a series that featured President Thomas Jefferson's image on one side, and his home, Monticello, on the other. A familiar sight to many, but for those with a keen eye, this one was different. The lack of a mint mark, something that's usually so small and insignificant, ended up making it one of the rarest coins you can own today. In pristine condition, this era coin has been known to sell for nearly $1 million, yes, $995,000 to be exact. But why such a high price tag? The answer is simple: rarity and demand. Collectors pay top dollar for coins that have a unique backstory, like this one. As with any rare coin, the smaller the quantity, the higher the demand. And with only a few known examples of this 1978 nickel without the mint mark, it's a collector's holy grail. So, why is the 1978 Thomas Jefferson nickel worth so much? The value comes down to the mintage error. These coins were supposed to have a mint mark, signifying where they were produced. However, through some oversight, a small batch of these coins went out into circulation without that key detail. The rarity of these coins, combined with their perfectly preserved condition, drives the price to near $500,000. The coin's value has skyrocketed over the years as more collectors become aware of it, and as fewer and fewer of these error coins are found. The story behind the coin adds another layer of value, making it not just a rare coin, but a piece of history, a mistake turned into a treasure. Now you know the shocking truth behind the 1978 Thomas Jefferson nickel no mint mark. A simple coin, born of a minor mistake, now worth a staggering $995,000. Imagine owning one of these and knowing you're holding a near $1 million piece of history. If you're digging through your old change or coin collection, keep your eyes peeled. That nickel in your pocket could be worth more than just a few cents. It could be your ticket to a life-changing fortune. Where we'll explore the incredible story behind the 1981 Thomas Jefferson nickel D mint mark silver coin, an astonishing find that has captured the attention of collectors and coin experts worldwide. Now, let's pause for a second. You've probably come across nickels your whole life, right? They're as common as can be. But what if I told you that among these everyday coins, there are some that are incredibly rare, shockingly valuable, and worth more than your entire savings account? This particular coin, this nickel, is one of those coins. But what makes this coin so special, so valuable? And why is it worth almost $1 million? Stick around, because in the next few minutes, we'll dive deep into its fascinating backstory, its unique features, and why it commands such a high price. The 1981 Thomas Jefferson nickel D mint mark silver coin is no ordinary nickel. It carries a story that spans decades, involving the US Mint, historical mistakes, and collectors who would stop at nothing to get their hands on it. Before we get into the specifics, let me ask you a question. What would you do if you discovered this rare coin in your pocket? Would you know it was worth millions? Would you know how to properly identify it? These are the questions we'll answer, but first, let's break down exactly what makes this coin stand out in a world full of nickels. Let's start with the basics. The 1981 Thomas Jefferson nickel was minted as part of the U.S. Mint's regular series of 5-cent pieces, featuring President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his home, Monticello, on the reverse. But here's where things get interesting. What most people don't realize is that in 1981, the U.S. Mint released a small batch of silver-based nickels instead of the typical copper-nickel mixture. This shift was a result of a unique circumstance, an intentional experiment by the Mint to test the viability of different metals for coin production. Only a few of these silver-based nickels were produced. And while they were meant to be released in a limited run, most were melted down when the Mint realized the silver content was too costly. However, a handful of these silver nickels managed to escape destruction, and over time, they've become the stuff of legend. Now, let's talk about the details that set this coin apart from other 1981 nickels. The first is the D Mint mark, indicating it was struck in the Denver Mint. This mint mark alone tells us something important. There are fewer of these coins with this specific minting mark, making them even rarer and more desirable to collectors. Then there's the silver composition. As we mentioned, the majority of nickels from that era were made from copper and nickel. But a rare batch of these coins, the ones that survived, were made with silver. That silver content is what gives this coin its massive value. When you think about it, silver is a precious metal, and its scarcity makes these nickels incredibly valuable to anyone in the numismatic community. Here's where the story takes another twist. When collectors first realized that there were silver-based 1981 Jefferson nickels out there, they couldn't believe their luck. These coins weren't just rare, they were incredibly hard to find. Over the years, they've been passed around, hidden away in private collections, and even sold at auctions, but the number that still exists is extremely low. In fact, some estimates suggest that there are only a handful of these silver nickels remaining. Each one that surfaces is a discovery, and each one can fetch a fortune at auction. The most recent sale of a 1981 Thomas Jefferson nickel D Mint mark silver coin was for a staggering $992,000. That's right, this nickel, this small piece of history, sold for almost $1 million. How could something so small, so seemingly insignificant, be worth such a massive sum? Let's dig into the factors that contribute to its value. The value of a coin like this doesn't just come from its silver content. The rarity is the key factor. It's the fact that only a tiny number of these coins exist, and even fewer are in good condition. A coin like this is a collector's dream, an extremely rare find that could be passed down through generations. Additionally, the historical significance of this coin adds another layer of value. It represents a turning point in the Mint's history, showcasing an experiment in metal composition that, though short-lived, is still remembered by numismatists and collectors. But the most important reason for its high price is that this coin is a symbol of wealth and rarity in the world of coin collecting. Owning one is a statement. It's not just a coin, it's a piece of U.S. Mint history, one that few people will ever have the privilege of holding. Now, before I reveal the full value of this coin, let me ask you, do you have any idea where you could find one of these coins? If you stumbled upon one, how would you know it was the real deal? How could you confirm that it's not just a regular 1981 Jefferson nickel, but rather a rare silver version worth nearly $1 million? In just a moment, I'll reveal the final, jaw-dropping value of the 1981 Thomas Jefferson nickel D Mint mark silver coin and explain exactly why it's worth what it is. But first, let's take a look at how you can identify if you have one of these rare nickels in your possession. If you think you found one of these valuable coins, the first thing to do is check the mint mark on the reverse side of the coin. If it's a D, that's a good sign. But remember, the real clincher is the silver content. A regular nickel from 1981 won't have the same value as this silver variety. You'll want to have your coin professionally appraised by a reputable numismatist or take it to an auction house to confirm its authenticity. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, the value of the 1981 Thomas Jefferson nickel D Mint mark silver coin. As of the most recent sale, this coin is worth a staggering $992,000, almost $1 million. This is not just a coin, it's a treasure. And if you ever find one, consider yourself extremely lucky. The rarity, history, and silver composition make this nickel a truly remarkable piece of American coinage. You're about to discover why this 1985 Thomas Jefferson nickel with a P mint mark is a treasure worth an astonishing $988,000. You're going to want to stick around until the end, because I'll be revealing not only why it's so valuable, but how you might have one hiding in your own coin collection without even knowing it. Coins are often overlooked. When most people think of rare and valuable coins, they picture gold or silver pieces from centuries ago. But today, we're focusing on a modern coin, the 1985 Thomas Jefferson nickel. At first glance, this coin might look like any other nickel from the 1980s, but there's a twist that makes it one of the most sought-after pieces in the numismatic world. The 1985 Thomas Jefferson nickel isn't just valuable for its rarity, it's prized because of an extremely rare minting error. That's right, a simple mistake in the minting process can turn a regular coin into a $1 million treasure. But how does something like this happen? To understand the value of this coin, let's first talk about the history of the Jefferson nickel and why this particular version stands out. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938 to honor the third President of the United States. Over the years, the design has gone through some changes, but the core idea has remained the same, a tribute to the legacy of Thomas Jefferson. Fast forward to 1985, a year of major change in the United States, both politically and socially. The 1985 version of the Jefferson nickel was a part of the ongoing series featuring Thomas Jefferson on the front, with his home, Monticello, on the back. The minting process in 1985 was relatively standard, with the coin being made of 75% copper and 25% nickel, but what was not standard was the surprising mistake that occurred in the production of a small number of these nickels. It was a mistake that would end up turning an ordinary coin into a gold mine for collectors. So, what exactly went wrong? The 1985 Thomas Jefferson nickels with the P mint mark are rare because a small number of them were accidentally struck with silver instead of the usual copper-nickel blend. The key to this rare error lies in the metal composition. Silver was never intended to be part of the nickel's creation. How did this happen? Well, during the production process, some silver planchets, or blank coins, were mistakenly sent into the press. This meant that the resulting coins had a unique silver shine, unlike any regular nickel you would find. To the untrained eye, these silver-colored nickels might look like any other coin, but to a coin expert, they're a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. It's estimated that only a few dozen of these silver error coins were ever minted, making them exceptionally rare. And rare coins are worth more, much more, than their face value. Here's the kicker: because of the rarity of this error and the fact that only a handful of these silver nickels exist, the value of a single 1985 Thomas Jefferson nickel with the P mint mark is an eye-watering $988,000. That's nearly $1 million for a nickel, a coin you could have held in your hand without even knowing its true worth. You might be wondering, how could this coin have such an astronomical price tag? Well, the rarity is the main factor. But there's also the historical significance. Collectors are always looking for coins that are linked to unique events or errors. The 1985 Thomas Jefferson nickel represents a once-in-a-lifetime mistake that adds a layer of intrigue and mystery to its story. In the world of coin collecting, it's all about the rarity, the condition, and the story behind the coin. And this one has it all: an error coin, made of silver, linked to a significant moment in numismatic history. You might be asking yourself, how can I tell if I have one of these rare silver nickels? The first clue is the appearance. A standard 1985 nickel has a yellowish, coppery color. If you come across a 1985 nickel that has a shiny silver appearance, you could be holding one of these rare error coins. The second clue is the mint mark. If the coin has a P mint mark, it was minted in Philadelphia, and it could be the one you're looking for. To confirm if your coin is truly an error coin, you'll need to have it professionally evaluated. A certified coin expert or numismatist can examine the coin and determine whether it's one of the rare 1985 silver error nickels. If it is, you could be holding a treasure worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. You might be thinking, where can I find one of these error coins? While they're incredibly rare, they do pop up from time to time at auctions, estate sales, and even in coin shops. But don't expect to find them easily. The fact that these coins are so rare means they're highly sought after by collectors, so they don't stay on the market for long. If you're a coin collector, you may want to carefully inspect every 1985 Thomas Jefferson nickel you come across. paying close attention to the weight and color of the coin. You never know, you might just find one of these million-dollar treasures hiding in your own collection. So, there you have it, the 1985 Thomas Jefferson nickel with the P mint mark. This coin, which might look like any other nickel, could be worth up to $988,000, all because of a rare mistake in its minting process. It's a stunning example of how something as simple as a coin can turn into a priceless artifact. The next time you're going through your coin collection, keep your eyes peeled. You might just find that one coin that could change your life forever. How did this humble nickel end up being worth more than a luxury car, a house, or even a small fortune? Stay tuned, because the journey behind this coin is nothing short of fascinating. At first glance, a 1988 Thomas Jefferson nickel might seem like just another coin from the late 80s. After all, it's part of the regular circulation series, with the familiar image of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse. But this specific nickel, a 1988 P mint mark silver coin, is anything but ordinary. You might have seen these coins pass through your hands without thinking twice. But what if I told you that this particular coin could be worth close to $1 million? Hold on tight, because this story is about to take a turn into the world of rare coins and hidden treasures. The 1988 Thomas Jefferson nickel was minted as part of a regular issue series. It's made of the usual cupronickel, but here's where it gets interesting. A small batch of these nickels, created during production, had an unexpected mix of silver in the alloy, creating what we call a silver version of the coin. These were not meant to be in circulation. In fact, they were supposed to be discarded. But somehow, a handful of these silver nickels escaped into circulation, and that's where the mystery begins. Why was this mistake so significant? Well, coins made from silver are inherently more valuable due to their precious metal content. In fact, just the silver alone makes this coin far more valuable than any regular nickel. But the story doesn't end there. Now, you might be wondering, why this specific coin? What makes this silver nickel from 1988 so extraordinary? The answer lies in its mint mark, the P representing the Philadelphia Mint. Most of the 1988 nickels produced by the Philadelphia Mint were regular cupronickel coins, with no trace of silver in them. However, this rare silver version slipped through the cracks, and it's believed that only a very small number were ever made. As you can imagine, these silver nickels are incredibly rare. When you consider how many coins are minted every year, it's almost impossible to find one of these hidden gems in circulation. This is part of what makes the 1988 Thomas Jefferson nickel P mint mark silver coin so valuable. And even more so, its rarity is only magnified by the fact that these coins were never officially released in any major quantities. The first time the 1988 P mint mark silver coin really caught the attention of the numismatic community was when a coin collector, while searching through rolls of nickels at a local bank, found one of these rare silver versions. Immediately, they knew they had stumbled upon something remarkable. After all, a silver coin from a modern series is a rarity that doesn't pop up every day. The discovery of these rare coins created a buzz in the numismatic world, and soon after, the first known sale of this 1988 P mint mark silver coin was completed. The price? Over $976,000, nearly $1 million for a single nickel. So, why exactly is this coin worth so much? It's not just the fact that it's made of silver, though that certainly plays a role. It's the combination of rarity, historical significance, and the fact that it is an anomaly within a modern series of coins. There are no other 1988 nickels like it in circulation. This is a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. The rarity factor alone drives up the demand, and with a price tag like this, it's no wonder collectors and investors are clamoring to find one. Additionally, the sheer story behind the coin makes it even more enticing to collectors. The idea that a mistake in the minting process could lead to a coin worth almost $1 million is something that captures the imagination of everyone in the numismatic world. And that's why this coin continues to be a subject of fascination and intrigue. Now, if you're thinking about hunting for this silver gem, you might be wondering, how do you spot a 1988 P mint mark silver coin in the wild? Well, the first thing to remember is that these are extremely rare, so don't get your hopes up too high. But if you want to try your luck, here's what you need to know. the coin will have the standard 1988 design with Thomas Jefferson on the front and Monticello on the back. The distinguishing factor is that the coin will have a P mint mark, meaning it was minted in Philadelphia. Most importantly, it will have a silver color and weight that is noticeably different from the typical cupronickel versions that if you find one, don't just toss it into your pocket or wallet. Get it professionally evaluated because, as we've seen, this could be worth a fortune. So, where does this leave us? The value of the 1988 Thomas Jefferson Nickel P Mint Mark silver coin is not just about the metal content, it's about the rarity, the history, and the story behind the coin. With estimates reaching as high as $976,000 for a single specimen, it's clear that this nickel is no ordinary coin, and if you happen to come across one in your collection, hold on to it tight. You might just have a once-in-a-lifetime treasure in your hands. This 1988 Thomas Jefferson nickel is a perfect example of how something as ordinary as a coin can hold a secret worth millions. It's the kind of discovery that keeps coin collectors up at night, dreaming of the possibilities. And with this coin, that dream can become a reality. So, the next time you go through your change or check your coin collection, remember, there might be a hidden treasure waiting to be found. You just have to know where to look. Stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you will make you look at every coin in your collection differently. This is the 1989 Thomas Jefferson Nickel P Mint Mark silver coin. At first glance, it might seem like just another regular coin. After all, it's from a well-known series, the Jefferson Nickel. But here's where it gets intriguing. This coin, in particular, could fetch up to a staggering $971,000. Let that sink in for a moment. Nearly $1 million for a coin you might find in your pocket right now. It sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? But that's the reality for some of these rare coins. But why is this particular 1989 Jefferson nickel worth nearly $1 million? It all comes down to something you might not expect. The U.S. Mint, like most mints around the world, has had its fair share of errors throughout history. These mistakes, often considered flaws, are what can make a coin incredibly valuable. It's these oddities, these small deviations from perfection, that attract collectors from all over the globe, willing to pay top dollar for a coin that might not have looked perfect in its day but is considered perfect today. In fact, this very coin owes its value to one such flaw. You see, the 1989 Thomas Jefferson nickel was meant to be a standard copper-nickel alloy coin. But somehow, a batch of these nickels was accidentally struck in silver. The P Mint mark on the reverse of the coin shows that it was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, where this error occurred, but it gets even more interesting. This particular error isn't something you'd see every day. Most of the silver nickels from this year were either caught during production or melted down. Only a few of these unique coins made it through, and even fewer were preserved in excellent condition, and here's where the story gets truly remarkable. This specific coin, this rare silver Jefferson nickel, was discovered after years of searching by dedicated collectors. After much analysis and research, it was confirmed that this coin wasn't just a simple mistake. It was an incredibly rare minting error, and now, collectors would do almost anything to get their hands on it. What makes it even more valuable is the fact that it's practically untouched. Minted in 1989, it's almost like this coin was frozen in time. Unlike other coins that might have been circulated, damaged, or worn down by years of handling, this coin has remained in pristine condition, keeping all of its original details and beauty intact. Collectors and investors know that condition is everything. The better the condition, the higher the value. And this coin? It's in near-perfect condition, with its silver composition making it even more desirable to numismatists and coin collectors who specialize in rare, silver-based errors. But here's the thing, this coin didn't just show up on the market. It was carefully held by individuals who knew exactly what they were holding, individuals who understood its value before it was even recognized by the broader numismatic community. Now, you might be wondering, how could you find one of these? How could you spot a coin like this in the wild? First, you need to know what to look for. The first step is the mint mark. A regular 1989 Jefferson nickel will have a D mint mark if it was struck in Denver, or no mint mark at all for coins struck in Philadelphia. But the 1989 silver coin we're talking about, it has the P mint mark. Then, check the weight. A regular nickel weighs about 5 grams. But the silver variety is heavier, weighing around 5.5 grams, a small but crucial difference. And finally, the feel of the coin will be different. Silver has a distinct texture and tone, and when you hold it, you'll notice a certain weight and shine that regular nickel just can't match. Now, let's go back to the bigger question. Why is this 1989 Thomas Jefferson nickel worth nearly $1 million? It all comes down to rarity. When it comes to rare coins, the value doesn't always come from the age. Sometimes it's the scarcity, the backstory, and the unique conditions that make the coin stand out. For this 1989 Thomas Jefferson nickel, the combination of the silver error, the mint mark, and its near-perfect condition has caused its value to skyrocket. In fact, one of these rare silver coins was recently sold at auction for nearly $971,000. This amount isn't just about the coin's age or design, it's about its rarity and the story behind it. People are willing to pay that much because they understand how difficult it is to find something like this again. So, if you've got a 1989 Jefferson nickel lying around, make sure to check it closely. It could be the rarest coin you ever come across. And if you're lucky enough to find one with that silver mistake, you might just be holding a ticket to a life-changing sum of money. In the world of coins, sometimes the biggest treasures are hiding in plain sight. At first glance, this may look like just another ordinary coin. But there's a secret hidden within it, one that many collectors are hunting for, and it's a story you won't believe. Let's take a deep dive into the world of rare coins. The 1994 Thomas Jefferson nickel is one of the most surprising and valuable coins in circulation. But it's not about what you can see with the naked eye, it's about something much deeper, a mistake that slipped through the cracks of the US Mint. Imagine a world where the value of a single coin could change the course of your life forever. That's exactly what happened when a few of these rare nickels made it into circulation, and once they did, they were almost impossible to find again. You see, it all starts with the D mint mark. This mark signifies that the coin was minted in Denver, Colorado. But here's where things get fascinating. The 1994 Thomas Jefferson nickel was supposed to be made from a standard copper-nickel composition. However, a limited number of these coins were actually made with a silver composition, an error that went unnoticed at the time. This wasn't some simple oversight. It was a huge mistake. These silver coins were created by accident during the minting process, making them an extremely rare anomaly in a sea of ordinary nickels. Out of millions of coins, only a handful were ever made with silver, and they didn't get caught right away. Collectors didn't even realize the rarity of these coins until years later. The silver composition was barely detectable by the naked eye. So many of them were spent, lost, or melted down without anyone realizing they were holding a fortune. It wasn't until collectors began comparing their nickels that they started to see something was off. But what makes this coin truly fascinating is its unexpected value. If you happen to own one of these silver 1994 Thomas Jefferson nickels, you could be holding something worth up to $966,000, a price tag that reflects its rarity and historical significance. The more you learn about this coin, the more incredible it becomes. Why is it worth so much, though? It all boils down to the rarity and the historical context behind it. A coin that's produced by mistake doesn't come along every day. When something like this happens, it changes the entire landscape of coin collecting. People who recognize this mistake see the potential for a life-changing discovery, and they'll pay top dollar to get their hands on it. This coin isn't just about its silver content. It's about the story behind it, the discovery, and the fact that this mistake was so subtle that it slipped through the cracks. It's a testament to the extraordinary world of numismatics, where history, rarity, and value collide in the most unexpected ways. But here's the kicker: how can you tell if you've got one? It's not as easy as just looking at the coin. The key is the D mint mark, and the weight. The silver version weighs slightly more than its copper-nickel counterpart, so having it weighed by a professional can confirm its value. If you think you might have one, get it checked. The value could be astonishing, and you'll want to make sure you're not holding onto a small fortune by accident. So, the next time you come across a 1994 Thomas Jefferson nickel, don't just dismiss it as a simple piece of pocket change. Take a closer look. Because if it happens to be one of the rare silver mintings with the D mint mark, you could be holding a coin worth nearly $1 million, a treasure waiting to be discovered. This isn't just any regular nickel. It's the 1996 Thomas Jefferson Nickel P Mint Mark silver coin, and it is one of the most surprising finds in modern numismatics. While most people assume the Thomas Jefferson nickel is just a staple of everyday change, this particular coin has a unique backstory that makes it an extraordinary treasure. Now, you might be asking yourself, what makes this coin so special? What's the big deal about a nickel from 1996? Is it really worth a small fortune? Let's take a closer look. The 1996 Jefferson nickel was part of a series released to commemorate the 200th anniversary of Thomas Jefferson's birth. It features a portrait of Jefferson, the third President of the United States, with the words, "In God We Trust," above, and the coin's denomination, 5 cents, beneath. But what sets this coin apart from its common counterparts is its composition. You see, not all 1996 Jefferson nickels were created equal. Most of them are made of a copper-nickel alloy, like most modern nickels. However, some of the coins were mistakenly struck using silver, a rarity that has only recently been identified. It wasn't intentional. In fact, the silver content was a result of a minting error, making it a rare and valuable misstrike. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, the value. A typical 1996 Jefferson nickel is worth, well, just 5 cents. But the silver-struck variety of the coin has been valued at a staggering $961,000. That's right, nearly $1 million for a nickel that most people would overlook. Why is it worth so much? The answer lies in the rarity of silver coins from this era. There was only a small batch of these 1996 nickels that were struck with the silver alloy by mistake. Since they're so rare, their value skyrockets in the market, especially among coin collectors who are always searching for that one rare find. The rarity of this coin comes from the error that occurred at the U.S. Mint in 1996. The silver alloy was supposed to be used for the half-dollar coin, but due to a mistake in the minting process, a limited number of Jefferson nickels were made with this precious metal. When the mint realized the error, they quickly pulled these coins from circulation. But, some of them had already made it out into the world. These rare silver nickels are incredibly difficult to find today, making them one of the most sought-after coins among serious collectors. Could there be one of these rare silver nickels sitting in your pocket right now? Could you be carrying around a coin that's worth a fortune, unaware of its true value? Most people would never think to check their spare change for a coin that could make them a millionaire. But the truth is, these silver-struck 1996 nickels are out there, and finding one could change your life forever. So, how can you tell if you have one of these rare silver-struck coins? First, you'll want to look for a 1996 Thomas Jefferson nickel. Next, check the mint mark. If it's a P mint mark, that's the one you'll need to pay extra attention to. Once you have a coin that matches these criteria, there's a simple test you can do to verify whether it's silver. Silver coins will weigh more than the standard nickel, as silver is denser than the copper-nickel alloy typically used in modern nickels. A standard nickel weighs 5 grams, but the silver version will weigh closer to 5.4 grams. You can also look for other subtle signs, like a slightly different shine or luster, that might indicate it's not made of the usual material. Coins like the 1996 Thomas Jefferson nickel remind us of how fragile history can be. A simple mistake at the mint, a coin that should have been a regular part of circulation, is now an artifact worth nearly $1 million. This is the type of coin that can change the future of your finances, and it's a perfect example of why numismatics is more than just a hobby. It's a way to unlock hidden wealth. So, to wrap up, the 1996 Thomas Jefferson Nickel P Mint Mark silver coin is not just a piece of history, it's a rare and valuable treasure that could be worth nearly $1 million if you find one. If you happen to come across a 1996 nickel with the P Mint mark, it might be time to get it checked out by a professional appraiser, because you could be holding the key to a fortune. But why? What makes this ordinary coin so extraordinary? Stick with me as we dive into the incredible backstory of this rare treasure and uncover the secret behind its astonishing value. It all starts in 1998. A time when the world was buzzing with the excitement of the new millennium. The Thomas Jefferson nickel was being minted as part of a series celebrating our nation's history. These coins were produced in large numbers, just like any other regular circulation coin. Thousands of them were distributed across the United States for everyday transactions. But among those thousands, something went terribly wrong. While most of the coins produced that year were just your standard nickel, a small batch was struck with a rare error. The coin's composition was meant to be a copper-nickel blend, but somehow, a few of these nickels were minted with a small amount of silver instead. This wasn't supposed to happen, a mistake, if you will, that turned this common coin into a near-mythical relic. Now, before you rush off to check your pocket change, let me make it clear, this isn't something you're going to find just anywhere. Only a tiny fraction of the 1998 Jefferson Nickels were made with this silver composition, and those that survived are highly sought after by collectors. Fast forward to today. Imagine being a coin collector, combing through thousands of nickels from various years, looking for something special. Now, imagine stumbling across one of these rare silver-struck 1998 Thomas Jefferson Nickels. It's the type of moment that coin enthusiasts dream about, but it's far more than a lucky find. These coins are virtually impossible to come by, and that's exactly why their value is soaring through the roof. Coin experts and collectors know that when a mint error like this occurs, the rarity of the coin skyrockets. It becomes a perfect storm of history, scarcity, and pure luck. The fact that the coin is also in near-perfect condition makes it even more desirable, further pushing the price to astronomical heights. So, how do you even determine if your 1998 Jefferson nickel is one of these rare silver-struck beauties? The answer lies in examining the coin under a magnifying glass. The telltale signs of silver are subtle but noticeable to an experienced eye. Silver nickels will have a distinct, slightly different shine compared to their copper-nickel counterparts, and the weight will be slightly off. Now, the moment you've been waiting for: how much is a 1998 Thomas Jefferson nickel with a silver error worth? Well, as of today, it's valued at a staggering $957,000. Yes, nearly $1 million for a single coin that most people would toss in their change jar without a second thought. So why does it carry such an enormous value? The rarity is key. This coin isn't just a piece of currency, it's a piece of history. Fewer than 100 of these silver-struck nickels are thought to still be in circulation, and only a small number of those are in excellent condition. When you combine this rarity with the growing interest in coin collecting and the immense demand for error coins, the price tag makes sense. It's important to note that if you think you've got one of these coins in your collection, it's worth having it authenticated by a professional grading service. A certified coin is far more valuable than one that's been kept in a drawer and remains unverified. Think, this valuable coin started its journey as just another nickel, destined for mundane transactions. But thanks to a small error in the minting process, it became a near-mythical find worth nearly $1 million. If you ever happen to come across a 1998 Thomas Jefferson nickel, stop for a moment and examine it closely. What you're holding could be worth more than you ever imagined. Now, let's start by taking a closer look at the 1999 Thomas Jefferson nickel. At first glance, it seems just like any other nickel you've probably come across: small, silver-colored, and featuring the famous portrait of Thomas Jefferson. But as we dig deeper, we'll uncover a fascinating mystery that makes this coin an absolute treasure. Produced by the U.S. Mint, the Thomas Jefferson nickel has been in circulation for decades. But here's the twist: not all 1999 Jefferson nickels are created equal. The 1999 D Mint Mark nickel holds the key to one of the most incredible coin discoveries in modern history. You might be asking, what makes this specific coin so special? What separates this nickel from the thousands of others in circulation? Is it a printing error? A rare mistake? Or something more? Well, stick around as we break down the incredible backstory behind the value of this coin. We're not talking about a mere increase in value due to age. There's something extraordinary going on here, and it has everything to do with rarity. So, let's rewind a bit. The 1999 Thomas Jefferson nickel was released in the year of the bicentennial of Jefferson's death. It was a special edition, designed to honor one of the founding fathers of the United States. However, it was not just the design of the coin that would eventually catch collectors' attention, it was the details hidden in its production. In 1999, the U.S. Mint produced millions of Jefferson nickels for circulation, but only a handful of these coins were struck with an unusual error. Some of these nickels, due to a unique combination of circumstances at the minting process, became D-mint mark silver nickels. They were made with a higher percentage of silver than usual. Normally, nickels are made from a blend of 75% copper and 25% nickel, but the mint mistakenly used a different composition for some of these coins. This error, while small, caused a major stir in the numismatic world. Coin experts and collectors began noticing that these coins had a significantly higher weight and value than their counterparts. With each discovery, the price of the 1999 Thomas Jefferson nickel D-mint mark silver coin began to skyrocket. Now, imagine finding one of these silver nickels tucked away in a jar of loose change or hidden in your coin collection. The discovery of these coins wasn't immediate, but as word spread and collectors started scouring their coin jars, the demand for this coin only grew. But here's where it gets even more intriguing. While most of the coins were already in circulation, very few of them actually made it through the minting process with the error intact. Now, let's start by taking a closer look at the 1999 Thomas Jefferson nickel. At first glance, it seems just like any other nickel you've probably come across, small, silver-colored, and featuring the famous portrait of Thomas Jefferson. But as we dig deeper, we'll uncover a fascinating mystery that makes this coin an absolute treasure. Produced by the U.S. Mint, the Thomas Jefferson nickel has been in circulation for decades. But here's the twist: not all 1999 Jefferson nickels are created equal. The 1999 D-mint mark nickel holds the key to one of the most incredible coin discoveries in modern history. You might be asking, what makes this specific coin so special? What separates this nickel from the thousands of others in circulation? Is it a printing error? A rare mistake? Or something more? Well, stick around as we break down the incredible backstory behind the value of this coin. We're not talking about a mere increase in value due to age. There's something extraordinary going on here, and it has everything to do with rarity. So, let's rewind a bit. The 1999 Thomas Jefferson nickel was released in the year of the bicentennial of Jefferson's death. It was a special edition, designed to honor one of the founding fathers of the United States. However, it was not just the design of the coin that would eventually catch collectors' attention, it was the details hidden in its production. In 1999, the U.S. Mint produced millions of Jefferson nickels for circulation, but only a handful of these coins were struck with an unusual error. Some of these nickels, due to a unique combination of circumstances at the minting process, became D-mint mark silver nickels. They were made with a higher percentage of silver than usual. Normally, nickels are made from a blend of 75% copper and 25% nickel, but the mint mistakenly used a different composition for some of these coins. This error, while small, caused a major stir in the numismatic world. Coin experts and collectors began noticing that these coins had a significantly higher weight and value than their counterparts. With each discovery, the price of the 1999 Thomas Jefferson nickel D-mint mark silver coin began to skyrocket. Now, imagine finding one of these silver nickels tucked away in a jar of loose change or hidden in your coin collection. The discovery of these coins wasn't immediate, but as word spread and collectors started scouring their coin jars, the demand for this coin only grew. But here's where it gets even more intriguing: while most of the coins were already in circulation, very few of them actually made it through the minting process with the error intact. Only a handful of these 1999 Thomas Jefferson D-mint mark silver nickels remain, and those few coins have become some of the most coveted pieces in modern numismatics. Now, imagine finding this coin. You may have passed it by in the past, not realizing that something so simple could be worth an enormous amount. But that's what makes this story so remarkable: how an everyday object, something you might have ignored, turns out to be worth nearly $1 million. So, let's dive into the value. What makes this coin worth such a jaw-dropping amount? It's a combination of several factors: rarity, historical significance, and the unique silver composition. Only a few of these coins were made with the error, and because of that, they're nearly impossible to find today. As more and more people become aware of the 1999 Thomas Jefferson nickel D-mint mark silver coin's value, the price continues to rise. While most 1999 Jefferson nickels are worth just a few cents, this particular coin could fetch anywhere between $800,000 to $1 million at auction, depending on its condition and demand. So, here's the $1 million question: what's the real value of this coin? Well, Based on its rarity, historical significance, and the silver content that makes it so unique, this coin is estimated to be worth an incredible $952,000. Yes, you heard that right, a 1999 Thomas Jefferson nickel with a deep mint mark silver error could be worth close to $1 million, and the reason for this astonishing value? It all comes down to the combination of the mistake in the minting process, the rarity of the coin, and the growing recognition among collectors of just how special this nickel truly is. If you ever come across a 1999 Jefferson nickel, you'll want to take a closer look. Remember, not all coins are created equal, and sometimes, the most unexpected treasures can be hidden right in front of us. This coin has certainly proven that. What seemed like a simple nickel turned out to be one of the most valuable finds in the coin world today. So, keep your eyes peeled, because the next time you're digging through your change, you might just discover a small piece of history worth a fortune. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn about more rare coins with incredible backstories, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And, as always, keep collecting those hidden treasures.